What's going on, Jeromes? We're back. Take a look at, well, no, not take a look. I was going to say take a look at another mock draft, but that's just ingrained. Daily Jerome's live stream, 11 a.m. Central-ish time, Monday through Thursday. Talking Vikings, talking draft, talking free agency. Last one of the week. Finish out strong. Thanks for coming along. Make us part of your day. Questions? Samuel Salads Skull, draft. Perfect scenario, trade back with the Jaguars, get their second first-round pick, and a second-rounder select. I don't know why they would do that. Like, if you're Jacksonville, you want as many pulls as possible, but why would you want to get up to 14? Z's round 1, Wyatt Davis second round, Trey Smith third round, and somehow end up with Anthony Schwartz love channel. That would be phenomenal. That would be good. But I don't know why Jacksonville would do that. Master Mike 117. Where do you see Delvin Cook in the future? Do you think he'll retire with the Vikings, possibly trade and possibly release in the future? Running backs simply do not stick with one team. They don't. Like, Walter Payton was the anomaly. But you look at, well, let's look at the all-time rushing list, because it's actually, we looked this up a while ago. PFR rushing list. PFR. I said PFR, man. There you go. Because Emmitt Smith played on 2 teams. Walter Payton only played on the Bears. Barry Sanders retired early and only played on the Lions. There we go. See, yeah, Frank Gore's 5 teams. Adrian's up to 5 teams. Curtis Martin played on 2. LT played for the Jets. You forget that. Bettis was originally with the Rams back in the day. Dickerson was passed around like a bad penny. Dorsett played on the Broncos, I believe, toward the end of his career. Jim Brown retired early. Went play the movies. Marshall Faulk. Yeah, Marshall Faulk was the running back for rookie Peyton Manning in '98 with the Colts. How crazy is that? Edge was passed around 3 times. Who was his third team? Because it was the Colts, it was the Cardinals. Did he end up in Seattle or something? Actually, let's look. Yeah, Seattle. Oh, he wore Franco Harris's number. It's kind of funny. Yeah, Marcus Allen was on the Raiders and the Chiefs. Yeah, Franco was on the Steelers and the aforementioned Seahawks. Thurman Thomas ended up on the Dolphins for some reason. Fred Taylor was ended up on the Patriots. Steven Jackson was with the Rams and the Falcons. And then, who else did he play for? Oh, yeah, that's right. He spent a year with the Patriots. Didn't quite work out. Riggins was on Washington as well as the Jets. Corey Dillon was on the Bengals and the Patriots. OJ. Yeah, fat OJ Simpson with his bad knees out by the Bay Area for 2 seasons. That worked out. Shady's been on a million teams. Warwick Dunn was on the Bucks and the Falcons. Ricky Waters was on the Niners, the Eagles, and there's one more. Well, obviously there's one more. Jamal Lewis ended up with the Browns. Was he with the Browns? Yeah, with the Browns. Yeah, bottom line, running backs simply don't stay with one team. And if you're going to bet on Delvin having the same level of production 5 years from now, probably not, even though I love me some Delvin Cook. But running back is definitely the epitome of NFL, not for long. Next up. Mikey, it bothers me the Vikings haven't addressed offensive line because I played O-line for 12 years. What are the odds they continue to half-ass it? They need to hammer it in the draft or pull off the miracle Orlando Brown trade or sign Eric Fisher or sign Forrest Lamp or sign Mitchell Schwartz, whatever. MN Gamer, what's your thoughts on if a decent quarterback falls to 14, should they take him or not? They should. I don't know if they're in a position to do so, but they should. Like, say Trey Lance or Mac Jones there at 14. Yes. Go ahead. Zaragoza, 44. I really hope we get Hufanga. He's Polamalu's nephew, family genes. Plus, hey, Candy Polamalu, what up? Hufanga's a solid player. Where do we rank him? I think we had him ranked like safety 8 in this class, but yeah, he'll be a decent mid-round guy. Mike's videos. Do you think the Vikings truly ignored offensive line, or they have some big plans? I think it's just circumstances. Like, I'm sure the Vikings had interest in Thuney and Zeitler and Blythe and Posich, and then they're just like, nah, it didn't work out. Takes 2 to tango. Training up in the first round. I don't think they trade up in the first round. That's not really Spielman's MO. But making a move in the second round with that many mid-round picks is a possibility. Duke the Bang Yang. Philippe Franks is one of our late rounds. What do you think about him? He seems to have potential. I like Philippe Franks. So he was the quarterback at Florida who eventually got beat up by Kyle Trask, and then Franks transferred to Arkansas, had won whatever season. You do like the size. I believe he's 6'5", 6'6", a strong arm. Accuracy comes and goes, does have mobility. So in terms of a guy that to sit him behind Kirk Cousins for a year or two, let Clint Kubiak break down his mechanics and rebuild them back up, have him learn the offense and the NFL game, yeah, that would make sense. Tyler Newman. I feel like there's so much depth in the first 3 rounds. We need to trade back and trade up to accumulate as many of the first 3 rounds as possible. Yes. Jem Roberts. Zimmer said yesterday about last year's defense, I'm not used to that level of performance, blah, 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 blah. So basically, it's Zimmer saying, like, I got so embarrassed by my stupid defense, blah, blah, blah. Lazy Elk. Imagine 49ers trading the 3 pick for Cousins. No. Would you pick Lance or Fields? The safe pick would be Fields. I would pick Trey Lance because I like to live dangerously. Griffin Creer. I know it's probably wishful thinking, but I can't sleep from excitement thinking about having Devontae Smith with JJ and Thielen. It would be interesting where, since the Vikings are at 14 in the top 13, there is going to be some dudes being pushed down, whether that's Parsons, whether that's Devontae, whether that's one of the offensive linemen, whether that's one of the quarterbacks. So, yeah, the Vikings will have a decision to make. But Devontae Smith, man, it's a lot of fun. Alex Zeller, it's interesting to hear negativity about the upcoming season. Reality is the team almost made the playoffs with a crappy O-line and a worse defense. Remove injuries. I think last year Vikings make the playoffs. Yeah, the Vikings make the playoffs last year, and they make a deep run. Tyler Newman. With this upcoming draft, would you rather have 1 mid-round first or 2 early seconds? Depends on who you get at 14. But, yeah, just going off this example in a vacuum, I'd rather have the 2 early seconds. But if you can get Darrisaw at 14, just take him. Ryan Kumar. Ever been to London, where I'm from? Also, what moves do you expect the Vikings to make before the draft? I haven't been to London. I've been at the airport just as a caught a connecting flight, but haven't been into London proper. What do you expect from Vikings? I think they'll sign one bargain basement offensive lineman before the draft. Might be Forrest Lamp, might be whoever. Anthony T. Other than getting our defensive players back, what can Zimmer do with his play calling to improve from last year? Get spicy, because I think the defense has been too stagnant where it's become predictable, and offenses have worked around that. So I like what we talked about, modernizing the defense to match up with modern offenses, some more multiple fronts, some 3-man looks, some zone blitz, some 3-3-5 nickel, some more hybrid type players, linebacker, safeties. See Blake Lynch on the field more. Maybe the Vikings draft Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. So anything that says, hey, we're going to change the things that have always been done, yeah, that makes sense. That's evolution. I like it. Spartus, if Trey Lance still on board at number 5, would you consider trading the Bengals? Nah, because they would gouge your eyes out trying to come up. Now, if he gets to 9 and George Payton's like, whatever, God, give a couple shout outs. Let us know where you're watching from. Ted Schiffen, rank these from 1 to 3. Biscuits and gravy, corned beef hash, huevos, rancheros. I'll go biscuits and gravy, huevos, and then corned beef hash. And isn't that I dislike corned beef hash? It's just like you never have it outside of like what? St. Patty's Day, because corned beef is really good because around St. Patty's Day, like all the corned beef will be on sale, and all it is like corned brisket. So just get yourself some corned point, part of the brisket. You get it for like $1.99 a pound. It's super cheap, and it's just good, man. It's just good. Thorwald Von Johnson. Are there any starting quality guards that are sitting on the bench of other teams that the Vikings could trade draft capital for? I'm sure there are. I haven't done enough research to have an educated opinion, but that's like all of our opinions anyway. Perp. Pick a Vikings player from each decade since the 60s that you would add to today's rooster, all in their prime. 60s, I guess Tarkenton. 70s, I would say Alan Page, except Alan Page was like a 250-pound defensive tackle. I might go Carl Eller. Yeah. No, I'll go Alan Page for the 70s. 80s. 80s, I might go Keith Millard. Keith Millard was a dude, man. 90s. Well, could we go Randy Moss, or what do we do? 90s, John Randall. Or 90s, Randall McDaniel. That would solve a lot of issues. 2000s, we'll go Randy Moss. 2010s. I guess peak Jared Allen. Or Kevin Williams was really underrated. Yeah, I'll go with that. Next up, Atso Mikinen. You need to watch some tape on Jamar Johnson. I would recommend his tape against Ohio State. He looks like Hitman, played great in games, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I think Jamar Johnson's probably going to be a day 2 pick in terms of safeties. We had him pretty low on our rankings, but yeah, he's an extremely solid player. Spartus, do you think the Wilfs are too concerned about being good enough to make the playoffs every year and therefore will never greenlight a true rebuild the Vikings? Well, it's always one of those things. It's if you're not getting the results you want, but you feel like you're just this close that you don't want to turn around. It's one of those spots where if you keep digging, hopefully you'll find the daylight. A couple shout outs. Daniel Tuma, Skull from Maryland. Mark Sonnenberg, Rhinelander, Wisconsin. Lucas Rauschecker, Skull from Würzburg, Germany. What's up? Pull for Skull, Nashville Hot Chicken. What's going on? Stykes 27, Brunswick, Germany. Is that where the bowling balls are made? Purple Rain, Skull from Wausau, Wisconsin. Sammy Vite, LBC, up in the Hizzy. Dave Randall Howe, Memphis, Tennessee. Love the ribs. Keith, Skull from Germany. Guys are the best. Thanks for coming along. Next up, Hunter Williams, Skull from Savage, Minnesota. You're awesome, Manny. To keep a good contact. Thank you. The Vikings haven't signed Manny. Does mean that he's going to bye-bye. Now, Zimmer talked about Manning yesterday in his press conference, which leads me to believe that the Vikings will be re-signing him, which really sucks. William Reed, thoughts on our offense adapting to the new style of offense in the league, as Zimmer mentioned? It would be great. I mean, the Vikings offense was straight up from the 70s, man. It was like avocado-colored appliances. And, yeah, the Vikings ran 11 personnel, dead last in the league, 29% or something stupid like that. But, yeah, go wide, go attack it, and just go. Gorga. My dream scenario for the rest of the offseason is signing Forrest Lamp and then trading up for Penny Sewell. Would like to see that. Would like to see that. Lucas Rauschecker. What would it cost for the Vikings to move up into the second round? Probably the good third and either 2 fourths or 3, 4, 5, somewhere in that neighborhood. Luckily, the Vikings have that. McNiller. If Collins, Dickerson, or Cox slip into the mid to late second round, do the Vikings trade up to get one of them? Yes. Especially Zaven. Especially Dickerson. Gopher. Which one has a better chance of happening? Fields being drafted before Wilson or Slater before Sewell? Probably Fields before Wilson because I think they're really close. Slater, I know that there was some early hype, especially from Daniel Jeremiah, of Slater over Sewell, except Sewell's physical upside, that's what you're betting on. I think Slater is a bit more refined of a player at this point, but Penny has a chance to be a generational talent. Eric Mantufel. Your take on re-signing Cousins after 2022? So Cousins after 2022 is going to be 35. No. Nah. EE. I feel like it's very likely that an elite playmaker makes it to 14 and the Vikings go line. Thanks, Rick. Yeah, the Vikings have painted themselves to a corner where they might have to. Michael Merchant Robles. Do you think Donovan Smith of the Bucs deserves $60 million a year? No. I think the Bucs overpaid. Elijah, do you watch baseball? I don't follow it closely, but yeah, I'll look in the morning. It's like, oh, the Twins won yesterday. Great. Also, what's your prediction for the Twins opening day game versus the Brewers? 17-0. Jem Roberts. Who's going to be the loudest, most dominant voice in the draft room? April, Spielman, or Zimmer? Probably Zimmer. It's always been Zimmer. And I think Spielman acquiesces because he knows that their futures are tied together. Pull for Skull. Opening day, Twins baseball. Twins versus Brewers. 1 p.m. Central Time. Let's go Twins. That's right. Perp. I wonder if the Vikings are still looking at big ticket offensive linemen. Zimmer out pointing out. Still a bunch of players out there. Blah, blah, blah. Maybe. I mean, they do have the cap space to sign a Trey Turner or Fisher or Schwartz or trade for Orlando Brown. Diego said, does Rick Spielman's attendance at Zach Wilson BYU Pro Day mean anything? Nah. I think they are more interested in like Matt Bushman, the tight end, maybe even Dax Milne, the wide receiver later on, maybe Brady Christensen doing some groundwork on talking to coaches and staff support guys. Tristan Hodge is the guard that I'm interested in later on. Yeah. Jamalkin. What do you think about trading down with Baltimore to get their first, second, seventh for 14 and take AVT at 20? I don't know why Baltimore would come up to do that. Unless they have a specific player in mind, why would they do that? Hunter Williams, Are you into Wahlburgers or Famous Dave's? We've been to Wahlburgers in the mall a couple times. I think it's pretty good. Famous Dave. I've never been about Famous Dave's. I understand that it initially started as like a mom and pop shop and then grew into a chain. But I feel like with barbecue, you lose a little bit of the soul with a chain. Yeah. The best barbecue I've had. So the Q place that's up in Champlin, that's really good. As well as John Hardy's in Rochester. There's 2 locations. That's really good as well. Haven't branched out mainly due to this COVID nonsense of, I know there's a couple of barbecue places that have popped up in the Twin Cities. I think Minnesota Barbecue Company is the name of one of them. But yeah, we'll definitely spread out. Go get that. John Anderson TV. Are you a Minnesota United fan? I guess by default. Sure. Don't really follow soccer. As for the draft, I want Darrisaw, expect edge or quarterback because Zimmer. As for food, king crab roll. Yes. And yes, I'm in on Darrisaw. Casey Wall. Would you rather trade up for Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase? God, that's really close. I would give the slight edge to Pitts because I think that he is going to be a big problem, matchup nightmare for years to come. Where with Jamar Chase, special talent, there's a Jamar Chase every other draft. There's not a Kyle Pitts every other draft. Anthony T, budget beast, reliable free agent kicker. We need ASAP, no Rocky. I don't know, destroying. Tyson Schmitz. Do you have any thoughts on Trey Lance's brother Bryce? No. Kagan Windley, the Niners will draft Devontae Smith at 3. Why would you give up 3 first-round picks for a guy who potentially could have been there at 12? That makes no sense. Andy Maxfield was listening to Solomon Wilcox on XM NFL radio. They could talk about Patrick Peterson, move safety. I don't know. So to a degree, I feel for national media because they have to cover all 32 teams and they can't get down with a fine-tooth comb like people who focus on one team can. But some of the takes are just cookie cutter and lazy. It's like, yeah, Patrick Peterson safety, sure. Oh, the rebuild after cutting Kyle Rudolph? No, get out of here. Purple Danny Hansen. Purple people eaters or a steel curtain? Who you got? Well, I'll go with the steel curtain because they had Hall of Famers at every single level. With the purple people eaters, it was mainly that defensive line and Paul Krause. That's about it. But, I mean, steel curtain, you had Mean Joe Green, you had Jack Ham, you had Jack Lambert, you had Mel Blount, you had, I'm blanking on some of the guys' names. Yeah, you had like 7 Hall of Famers. You had Andy, the linebacker's name, Andy something. Yeah, I just watched that America's game too. You had Dwight White up front. I mean, you just had some dudes, man. Tristan D. Thoughts on this? Ravens move Orlando Brown at 59 for Brian O'Neill. No. Tristan D. My theory to why the Vikings are addressing a as they're working out a deal for Orlando Brown Jr. is what I'm hoping for. It's possible. Cody Sandstrom. If the Ravens call the Vikings right now for one trade for Orlando Brown and Adam Thielen, are you taking it? Yes. It feels dirty to say, but yes. Jacob Cook. Can you go in depth on why you like AVT so much for my film review? He has a lot of red flags. He regularly stalls his feet, leans, doesn't bend his knees, and well, I disagree about the leaning part. Where he does have really good balance. Now, short area agility was a question. He sort of answered that at his pro day, but I think AVT is just a really solid, smooth operator. He never panicked when he got tossed in as a redshirt freshman, and he was just good to go at left guard. His left tackle play was sort of whatever. He got exposed in the Pac-12 championship game against Oregon for sure, but inside a guard, dude is just a nail driver. I think he does have elite balance. I guess I don't see what you see, but of course, prospects and evaluation is completely subjective, excuse me. So yeah, I would say AVT is perfectly fine in that mid-first round conversation. I like Landon Dickerson a lot too. I would put maybe Dickerson and Davis if they were healthy as fringe first round guys, but AVT is a stud. Benjamin Westholm. Could you explain how converting salary to signing bonuses work? Blah, 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 blah. So, all right, so we went over this in the Adam Thielen video, or we did a full restructure video. Basically, say a guy has a base salary of $10 million and has 4 years left on, has 4 total years left on his deal, just for ease of math. So what you can do is, $9 million base salary, 4 years left on his deal. And you can take $8 million of his base salary and convert it into a roster bonus. So he gets that today. And then since it's a bonus, you can spread out the proration of those cap hits over up to 5 years. So you'll often see signing bonuses spread out over 5 years. Look at Patrick Mahomes' deal, even though it's a 10-year deal. So what you can do is you convert that $8 million into a roster bonus, and then you spread it out over 4 years. So you get $2 million, $2 million, $2 million, $2 million. So his cap hit from this year now goes from $9 million down to $3, because you have $2 million of the roster bonus. You have the $1 million remaining base salary, and then you have to spread out, and you have $6 million in dead cap over the next remaining 3 years. So that's the back of the envelope way of how it works. Ed Mantufel. Any opportunity to Scherf trade on franchise tag? I'm not giving up 2 1s for Scherf. Carson Harlow. If Slater and Darrisaw are both there at 14, who are you taking? Darrisaw. Samuel Salinger Skull. What do you think is their chance Donab with at least 7th round pick in the draft? 0.0. Skull or not, trade for Zach Ertz? No. Lazy L. Darrisaw at 14 or trade down and pick AVT? Well, I mean, the answer would be trade down and get AVT, except that's not a given. So I'll just take the known. I'll take Darrisaw at 14. Eric Anderson, Penny, and Jamar Chase are still on board. Who you taking? Specifically for the Vikings, I'll take Penny Sewell. Heimo Kayukin. Wheat beer is the best. I had a bad experience with a wheat beer, but we won't get into that. What is your favorite board game? Probably Monopoly, even though Monopoly can definitely just like towards the end of it and just like it's whatever. But Monopoly's fun. Graham Cracker. Devontae Smith or Darrisaw? Darrisaw, but I hate it. Lazy L. Who's your favorite player in the draft? Trevor Lawrence. Casey Cryan. Vikings or not, AVT is drafted. I actually think AVT might go sneaky early. Like 11 to the Giants, 10 to the Cowboys. That'd be crazy. Samuel Salinger Skull. What's the status of Aviante Collins, Josh Klein, Dylan Mitchell? Collins is on the Steelers. Klein is on his couch. And Dylan Mitchell, I have no idea. Tristan Bailey. Going to play college ball this fall. What side of the ball should I apparently focus on? I'm 5'8", $155. Play corner, safety on defense. He's been back. I say go wherever your coaches put you, and get really good at special teams, because that's the way that you're going to get on the field early. A little bit undersized for sure. Do have some decent speed. I'm guessing this is like a lower level college. So yeah, just get after it. Listen to your coaches. Keep your mouth shut. Be humble. Put the work in, and just do whatever you can do to help the team. Stikes 27. Do you think we pick 14? Do you think that we pick at 14 a O-liner? Yes. LaShawn Jordan. I want Christian Darrisaw or Elijah Vera Tucker on the Vikings Skull. Agreed. Thomas Menino. Possible to get both Dickerson and Ben Cleveland in the draft and plug and play them in day one. It's possible. Yes. Tristan Bailey. Tips on how to gain weight without losing speed. I was never that fast. I was never that big. So I'm not the guy to ask. Shane Jensen. Dum-dums or blow pops? Blow pops, because you get gum. You get gum at the end. Mike Fickey, McDonald's fries or Taco John's potato olays? What say you? So this is tough, because potato olays, I mean, they're just crown tater tots with some like chili powder on them. But McDonald's fries, well, we talking about old school McDonald's fries when they're fried in beef tallow, because they just smack different. They do. But I'll give the slight edge to McDonald's fries. Thomas Menino, favorite beer? Go seasonally. I guess right now, into a lot of Kolsch's. So both domestic and German Kolsch's. I just really like that style. I think it works really well for spring and for summer. Overall, I don't know, like if we're ever just at like a random bar or random get together and I can't really decide, I mean, I'll just go with a Stella. I feel like even though it's sort of played out, it's basically a domestic beer at this point, so you can get it pretty much everywhere. But I mean, it's just solid. It's a good beer. What else is there? Oh, so I'm just trying to make Minnesota as Texas as possible. So Shinerbach, we're getting it more regularly up here in terms of distribution. So Shinerbach is fantastic, where it's full-bodied, it's easy drinking, it doesn't make you feel like a bajillion pounds after a couple. So I mean, yeah, Shinerbach is just a really good beer. Yeah, Pride, Texas. Let's go. That's it. That is the Daily Jerome's live stream for the day, for the week. You guys are the best. Thanks for coming along. We'll talk to you Monday. Subscribe. Come along.